Hello everyone and welcome to the final installment of our 10.1 raid guide videos, proudly presented by Kingston FURY. This is Crzypck for Method, and today we'll show you how to defeat Sarkareth in Mythic Aberrus. For all of our Mythic videos, we'll assume you know the fight and its mechanics on heroic difficulty. As such, these videos will show you the Mythic mechanics and focus on the strategy to defeat the Mythic version of the encounter. If you need a refresher on any of the baseline heroic abilities, check out the heroic guide for the encounter on our channel. Sarkareth, like all end bosses, is a mechanically demanding encounter, and each phase takes time to progress. It also requires your raid to maximize overall output. There's currently two popular strategies for defeating the boss, mostly differing in how phase 3 is handled. The liquid strat has a lower overall DPS requirement and makes phase 3 a bit easier and shorter. The Echo Strat is somewhat easier in execution overall, but requires your raid to really maximize every ounce of damage possible to meet the necessary checks. We believe the Liquid strategy will be better for most teams, and that's the strategy we'll discuss here. We recommend ensuring that you have the Liquid Weak Aura pack, including the Anchors pack, as it will give you everything you need for this fight. Let's start with a handful of new mechanics for Mythic. Whenever a player goes to the Shadow Realm, they'll drop a small dimensional puncture void zone circle on the ground. These last for 3 minutes. If anyone else touches the void zone, you fall through the floor and die. Additionally, whenever a player goes into the Shadow Realm, it'll also apply a stack of a raid-wide dot that lasts 5 seconds. In phase 1, the Oppressing Howl now applies 2 debuffs. To remove both, you must get hit by Mass Disintegrate and a Fire Breath. The Scorching Bombs in phase 1 also each create a dimensional puncture at their location when they spawn. In Stage 2, there's a new ad that spawns following the breath called an Empty Recollection. It's a larger ad that's basically a mirror image of Sark himself. These ads deal moderate damage to the tank and have a nasty cast that needs to be interrupted. Jumping into Phase 1, it's important to note that first and foremost, this is a healing throughput check phase. You will lose people in this phase frequently throughout prog, and it'll take a bit just to get used to managing the incoming damage. That's entirely normal, but after a bit your healers will adjust and get used to the flow of it. Phase 1 is relatively straightforward other than that. Every player in the raid needs to get hit by a Searing Breath once, and a Mass Disintegrate once. You'll need to pre-assign each player getting hit by each ability. For Mass Disintegrate, you'll want 1 tank and 4 melee to soak the first cast, obviously in addition to whoever the 2 actual targets are. Don't have anybody soak the second or third disintegrates, and have all remaining players soak the fourth and final one. It also helps to control the direction of the disintegrate lines, as having a set cadence makes it easier for people to know where to go and where to dodge. Have the first disintegrate aimed away from the range group and also not towards the center, as the Searing Breath will be towards the center of the room. For the second, shoot them anywhere away from the range group, and same with the third. For the fourth one, aim the line towards the range group with the other line away from everybody. As for the Searing Breath, we recommend letting your healers and 1 tank get hit by the first breath, and the entire rest of the raid hit by the second breath. Use the third breath as your just in case, letting anyone who missed on the first 2 clear on the third. For breath, it's also important to bait the direction of the cast correctly. This is baited at a random melee player, so all melee can position themselves to focus this bait. You'll want the first breath aimed towards the center of the room, the second breath aimed towards the ranged group so everyone can get hit, and the third breath baited towards the middle again. For positioning in phase 1, you'll want to rotate clockwise around the room as the bombs come out, baiting them as well as you can. This diagram shows basically all of phase 1. Drop the X, square, triangle, and diamond in these locations. You'll start in the bottom right corner near the edge to bait the first bombs. Once they drop, take a Warlock Gateway toward the middle of the room. You'll get the first Glittering Surge here, so make sure you're stacked up tightly to help out the healers. This is followed by the Knockback, after which the ranged players need to get back out towards the edge of the room. Bait the second bombs here, then the ranged team will shift towards blue. Here, bait the Searing Breath towards the ranged group to clear everyone's debuffs. Make sure to only get hit by 1 tick of this, and then move out. Ranged will bait the third bombs near blue and the fourth bombs towards the left side. Between these, you'll have 2 disintegrate lasers that you skip, so make sure nobody gets hit. After the fourth bombs go out, the fourth and final mass disintegration comes out. As soon as the targets are selected, one needs to run towards the range group. We recommend having mages pop Ice Block here, so make sure once the target is in range, they don't move around and accidentally miss any mages that are in Ice Block. Swirlies come out here too, so dodge them, then everyone needs to stack in melee for the Glittering Surge. When the surge ends, you want to gateway back over towards purple here and stack tightly. As you transition out of phase 1 and get sent downstairs here, every player is going to drop a Void Zone, as we discussed earlier. It's vital that these are stacked as tightly as you possibly can. You don't want to take up any extra space on the floor with them. As a note, the better you are at this stacking, the less random deaths you'll have throughout all of your prog, and it will save you wipes the better you get early on. Additionally, the soak circles downstairs can spawn in the void zones. So if you do a crappy job stacking them, it's possible to have a soak circle covered entirely by void zones, making it impossible to reach and effectively just killing that player off. Stack them up tightly, do this from the first pull, and avoid bad things happening. The rest of the downstairs intermission is the same as Heroic. Collect your haste buff and get out starting phase 2. Here, you'll want to pre-assign a stun rotation for the adds. For the first set of adds, we recommend using a Shaman stun followed by a Demon Hunter one. For the second set of adds, do the same, but add a Ring of Peace if needed. For the third set, again do the same thing, but you can also add an Ursul's Vortex if needed. You'll also want interrupt rotation set up for the adds, and we recommend using the interrupt rotation weak aura and just having that preset in your note. As for bomb soakers, we recommend the first set of bombs both be soaked by healers, and the second set be either warlocks or other DPS with strong 3-minute CDs. Lastly, as far as prep here, you'll want your mages to go downstairs for a haste buff as soon as the healers come out. If you have any unholy Death Knights, send them downstairs to the 2-minute and 30 mark. The timing here works out so they'll have full haste going back into their big cooldowns. Okay, let's walk through phase 2 now. Start by bringing the boss towards the middle of the room, with the melee baiting the breath towards the outer edge of the room, near the purple marker. Ranged need to move counterclockwise immediately as breath starts so they don't get hit. Once the breath starts, everyone should shift to near where the adds will be spawning to bait the bombs, which happens about 10 seconds after the breath. As soon as your boss mod timer hits 0, the entire raid needs to start moving counterclockwise, because when the bombs spawn, they do a small AoE which causes stacks of oblivion. While it's minor, it is unnecessary raid damage, and it is worth moving so you don't get this tick. While that's happening, you want to make sure the adds touch the circles to remove their heal buff, get your stuns off, and then nuke them. After this, you'll get your first infinite duress. You want to dispel this one as soon as possible. So as soon as the debuff goes out, the target needs to get behind the ranged group, get the dispel out, and knock the raid towards the middle. The tank explosion will then happen a little bit after, so do not be late with this duress dispel. Next up is the second breath, bait that near the previous breath puddles on the ground. Don't get hit, and just like before, stun and nuke the adds. The second infinite duress will come out about 10 seconds after the second set of adds spawns. You'll want a gateway setup pointed ahead of where the group is, counterclockwise. Use the duress knockback to knock everyone towards the gateway, then click the gateway to zoom back to where you started. The reason to have a gateway here is that right after this duress dispel, you'll be getting a third breath and also more bombs. By utilizing the gateway, it'll let you bait both more effectively. Like before, for the bomb bait, you'll want to start moving to the right immediately when your boss timer hits 0 for them. As you're moving, the breath will go out too, so make sure you don't get hit by that. Following this, the third and final infinite duress will come out. This one, you want to hold on to for a bit, and instead focus on nuking the adds and milking damage on the boss. Hold the dispel until about 5 seconds before the phase 3 timer. Now comes kind of the weird part. As you start into phase 3, you'll actually want the entire raid, except one tank, to be downstairs in the Cosmic Realm. To do this, after the last infinite duress, you want to have the entire raid stack up right along the edge of some desolate blossoms, ideally ones that are crossing over top of each other. As soon as the phase timer hits 0, start running through them, and again, ideally going through multiple at the same time to get stacks as fast as possible. Another helpful tidbit here is that the entire raid should be stutter stepping slightly side to side, which will help prevent any of the faster classes from running way out ahead and dropping void zones really far away from everybody else. Once you get inside, like always, go get your buffs. You'll be delaying coming out until the Cosmic Ascension big circle explodes and then come out ASAP. Another important part to this is right before you go down, you need to toss a Blessing of Protection on whatever tank is staying up. Phase 3 is a fully scripted dance, and raid positioning is extremely important. We're going to walk through it step by step. Right after you come back upstairs, you'll have almost every mechanic occur within a very short period of time. You'll have bombs spawning, a black hole coming out, and 2 players targeted by the hurtling barrage. Range should start here for the bomb bait, and then run over here, and then run into melee. After the bombs both spawn, everyone will soak the black hole in melee range. It's important to note that the black hole can be targeted on a ranged player. If that happens, you actually want to ignore that the black hole is on you, complete the bomb baiting first, and then run into melee. If you don't do this, you can actually end up with a bomb spamming in melee, which obviously can then, pulse damage on the entire melee, which is not good, add debuffs to the entire melee, which is not good, and potentially have the wrong person pick it up, which is also not good. While these baits are happening, you'll also have hurtling barrage targets get picked. Just get out of the middle so these shoot down the sides away from everybody else. Your Phase 3 assigned bomb holders should grab the bombs right after the black hole soak and then go downstairs. Ideally, they want to do this near the green marker we set down earlier to keep the void puddles together. You'll then have a scouring eternity, so hide in the lines and don't die. After hiding, you want to make sure there's a gateway from near the middle of the room towards orange. 2 infinite duress debuffs come out here. Stay near the gateway and dodge swirlies. Right as the boss starts casting Cosmic Ascension, you'll want to have a priest cast Mass Dispel. Count this down, and as soon as the dispel goes off, the entire raid needs to take the gateway towards orange. This will both negate the knockback from the infinite duress debuffs and fly you out of the Cosmic Ascension circle. While all of that's happening, a new black hole debuff does come out. You don't need to do anything with it because it won't explode until after you land from the gateway. Make sure everyone stays inside after landing, soak the black hole, and then move to the side so you're not standing in the void goop. From here, you'll chill for a bit. This is one of the easier parts of Phase 3, as long as the healers are on point. You'll have bomb baits, so the range needs to stack, then shift for the second bomb, then move towards melee again. Healers need to really focus on the bomb holders here and make sure they don't die. Everybody will have a few stacks of Oblivion by this point, so the ticking damage is going to start to hurt. Get downstairs ASAP with bombs, and like before, try to drop void puddles up near triangle or diamond. When the black hole goes out, the target needs to head down towards orange again, just outside the existing puddle. Your goal here is to break as many rocks as possible. The raid should not soak this one, and you want the target to either use an immunity if they have it, use a spell warding if you have a prop paladin, or the target's just going to have to sacrifice themselves and die. Following that is another set of barrages, so aim them away from the raid. After that bit of a lull, you get into the hardest set of overlaps in the fight. The healing requirement for this segment is extremely high, and any mistake can kill you or wipe the raid. By this point, anyone other than the bomb carriers likely has 5 or more stacks of Oblivion, which is really ticking hard. The next mechanic after the barrages is a Scouring Eternity, so the raid needs to hide in the line. Following that is another black hole. This one you'll also sacrifice a person or have them use an immunity if possible. Once this person dies, you have 2 options. You either need to battle res them instantly or wait until after the next few mechanics. You'll have an infinite duress come out here, so the target needs to move out of the group and aim to knock the raid back towards the blue marker. You want to dispel this as fast as you possibly can so that the entire raid gets knocked to blue quickly. If you do this fast enough, the first bomb will spawn right after you land, the whole raid shifts left, and then the second bomb spawns. After that one spawns, everyone moves back towards the middle of the room. Your bomb players will go downstairs like normal, and everyone else gets a few seconds of breathing room. If you didn't get the battle res off instantly, this is where you can pop it. You've got about 10 seconds of chill DPS time here, and then that's followed by a Cosmic Ascension. For this Cosmic Ascension, we recommend having one trustworthy raider, so not a hunter. Sorry hunters, I'm one of you, but I wouldn't trust me either. But you want that one trustworthy player watching the Ascension timer closely. Mark this player and have the raid stack near them. At exactly 5 seconds left on the Ascension timer, This player needs to pick a freshly spawned swirly, and everybody follows them and stacks in that swirly. This way, everybody gets hit together, stacking the void zone puddles tightly and sending everyone down right before the ascension goes off. Everybody should run and get their stacks, and then come back upstairs ASAP. However, one tank still needs to stay upstairs for this. We recommend your Blood Death Knight if you have one. The reasoning here is that while everyone is downstairs, a new Infinite Duress debuff goes out. A Blood DK can just pop AMS right before the debuff goes out and immune it. If you don't have a DK for this, you'll need a Holy Paladin to come back up upstairs as fast as they possibly can, pop Bubble to prevent the knockback, and dispel the Infinite Duress off the tank ASAP. You need this dispelled before the entire rest of the raid comes back upstairs, so if you actually need to do this, make sure you're communicating and calling out when it's safe to come back up. From this point, it's just a burn. Everyone's stacks will be reset, so the raid damage is fairly low. You'll get a black hole, and everyone just needs to soak this in melee range. It's followed by a Scouring Eternity and another Barrage. The boss basically has to be dead by this point, or you're going to be hitting the Enrage soon after. New card, stay alive, and GG's, congrats on getting Cutting Edge. Thanks for taking this journey through Aberrus with us. If you enjoyed our series of guides and you found them helpful and they helped you get some boss kills and hopefully a Cutting Edge, remember to like them all and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. A big thank you again to Kingston FURY for making these guides possible. From myself and everybody here at Method, we hope you have a wonderful day and we will see you next tier.